What's up, everybody? This is Lou, and you're listening to the Breeze Shooters podcast. Normally, I would be here with my co-host Chris. Chris is not feeling well, so he won't be joining us today. Chris, I wish you a speedy recovery, my brother. My prayers go out to you. Get better soon. As you know, this is the show that brings you news, sports, poker, and everything in between, as my friend Chris would say. Today, we have a really good show. We have with us, we have Dennis the Menace Bermudez, former UFC fighter. He fought in the lightweight division, then went down to the featherweight division. 17-9 career record. And he retired a few years back. Really interesting story. Fellow Boricua. He's a New Yorker. I believe he's up in the Catskills. He's from the Catskills, New York area. And again, really excited to have him on. Just to hear the life of a UFC fighter will be interesting. And I'm pretty sure he could share some gems with you guys.
We're in here.
Yeah.
There he is. That's me. Cracked up a beer. I cracked open a beer to hang out with you guys. Am I hanging out with you?
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, just one today. My buddy Chris got he has COVID, man. So he's kind of like going through it.
So he's definitely he's like dying right now, or
yeah, he's dying. He said the last 2 days were really horrible. His body's aching and stuff, so he doesn't want to jump on. But it's okay. Don't worry about it. We're still gonna have a great show. Yeah, and Dennis, before we start, man, thank you, brother. Thank you for jumping on. Man. Thank you for the time. Truly appreciate it. So I guess you know what? Let's start with over the weekend. Did you get to see the fight? The fights over the weekend?
I saw a few.
Do you saw what happened with Chris? Was it Weidman? His leg, Weidman. Yeah, when he snapped his leg. Oh my God! At that point, are you thinking, "I don't miss the sport"?
I don't know. How many times has that actually happened? We're live right now, right?
Yeah, no, we're live. We're live. Okay. No, but when I stream in live, so what I do is I record. I'll go back, I edit, and then so it'll go up tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's kind of like getting bit by a shark that happened to you in a fight. I feel. It's so rare, and you know.
But let me ask you, let's stay there for a second. Those leg kicks, are they? I remember seeing Alessandro and I forget the Cuban guy. But he was just fighting this guy all night and he was keeping him at bay with leg kicks. And I'm thinking, man, he's not doing that much damage. Then I seen at the end of the fight, the guy's leg had all these welts. I'm like, wow, these fucking leg kicks are really powerful. But
no, for sure.
Yeah, like do you guys prepare yourself for that in terms of receiving them? Is there anything you could do to prepare yourself for that?
You check it. So what Uriah Hall did was checked it, and then, but you know, I think there's a lot of variables that go into your leg breaking like that. One, how hard can you kick? I think. Two, like throughout your tibula, you know, you got to hit that like perfect spot at the right angle with the right, you know, with the weather being like, there's a lot of things. I feel also, you know, that guy checking it just right, maybe on like the hardest part of his shin, and like, probably it's even like what you even ate that fucking week, you know, like I don't know.
Is that crazy, huh?
I would imagine just because your bones are, there's a lot of like, shit going on there, you know. Maybe not like enough calcium or vitamin D. Who fucking knows, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe the weight cut. I don't know. There's a lot of things. But like I said, it's a very rare occurrence, I think. So
No, you're right. I don't ever recall seeing something like that. Like I said, the closest thing I ever saw to that was Paul George when he was playing with the U.S. Olympic team, and he came down awkwardly and he just snapped his leg in half. It was just, but he recovered. So I hope this young guy is able to recover and continue with his career. You know, it was
He's
unfortunate.
36.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. That's a good point.
That's old in the MMA game.
Yeah, that's right.
Older, you know.
Yeah.
I would imagine he's out at least a year.
Yeah, coming back at 37 is going to be tough. Yep.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right.
Like 6 months would before he could probably start running and shit. I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're right. Damn, that's tough. That's what a way to go out. That sucks. That sucks. Yeah. But back to you, Dennis. So we love having bringing on Latinos. I believe you have Puerto Rican descent. Is that correct?
Yep.
And we love sharing stories with our Puerto Rican heroes, especially with our young listeners, just to just kind of broaden them on what's out there, what's available, what was your journey, where were some things you did, where were some things that you did wrong that possibly you could shed some light on for our listeners. So I always like to start at the beginning.
Okay.
Tell us how you got into the MMA scene, or even before that, high school wrestling. What drove you into wrestling?
Yeah. Well, it all starts back to me and my I'm a middle guy. I got an older brother, a younger brother, and we were raised by our father.
Okay.
And super Puerto Rican. Except for he doesn't speak Spanish.
Okay. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
He used to know how, but he forgot. I'm like, what? Can you? All right, whatever, dude. So whenever people like, Boricua, habla español. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, why? And they look at me like ashamed of. I'm like, because my dad. I don't like. I tried to take a Spanish class in high school, and that's all I know. Like the little bit they taught, So what do you want me to do? Anyways, but very Puerto Rican in his ways, His mother was she kept it down in the household. So he's like, if she's missing a slipper, you better duck because that bitch is coming at your head. With that being said, he was very stern with us, So we caught ass whoopings here and there, but we walked like a straight line, we never really got in too much trouble because you weren't trying to catch that ass whooping.
Absolutely. I hear that, man.
So but in terms of getting into wrestling, my next door neighbor, Spencer Christian, he was 7 years older than me, and he was the captain of the varsity wrestling team and stuff like that, and I just thought this dude was I still think he's the bee's knees, super strong, didn't do drugs. He started drinking alcohol maybe 4 years ago,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But always a very clean. So I was looking at this guy, he weighed 112 pounds and can bench 225 15 times. You're a freak of nature, legit a freak of nature, So I was kind of guided by him and followed his footsteps to wrestle, and I wanted to be better than him and make him proud, So I did that, and
did he embrace that? Did he embrace taking you under the wing and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. So my older brother is 5 years older than me. He played basketball, and I followed my older brother. I played football. I did some track and field. My older brother did that, but I wasn't really good at basketball, and I felt like wrestling was, I don't know, there's something about it. It's very one-on-one. If you lose, that's on you, And I am a sore loser. I openly admit that, and it gets ugly when things don't go my way. If I think I'm good at it. If we play basketball, I don't think I'm good at it, so I'm not going to, all right, you beat me. It's not my jam. But if we're going to wrestle or fight or – it could be like beer pong. If I feel like I'm on and you beat me, bro, we're a problem.
To this day, still?
Nah, I don't.
Nah.
It depends. It depends how much, like, if I played you before and I beat you, and then like a week later you're like, yeah, I'm gonna beat you. Like, no, you're not, dude.
Wow.
You start beating. My little brother got pegged with a foosball ball. Do you know how big those are?
Yeah.
How hard? Like, he
Yeah.
beat me with a foosball. I'm like, you motherfucker! Like, beamed them right in the chest from across the table.
Wow.
Yeah. So back to wrestling. In terms of him embracing me, he was like my number one supporter. He would drive me to like Pennsylvania, up like hours. Not only would he drive me to these wrestling events, he'd pay for my entry fee. He'd buy me food and drinks. So like, he was like my go-to. You know, my dad was very busy with work, which I appreciate his hard work and the ability to put a roof over our heads and food on the table. You know. But he wasn't a huge supporter of my athletics.
Gotcha.
Like, he wanted me to do them, but he didn't come and like watch them. You know, which kind of sucked. So it was weird. I had like this someone who I thought was like a god and was like a freak athlete who was very positive towards me and my career, and then there was like my father on the other end who's like, "Really, dude, that was it." So it was just like, I wanted to make him happy and him happy, and the only way in my head to do that was just be great.
Hey, listen, man. Listen, it worked, man. It pushed you. It gave you that drive, man, because you had a great collegiate career. And so before I jumped over that, how did high school pan out for you? Were you like one of the top in the state?
I think at one point I was ranked in the state, but not very high. But I was what my college coach calls a diamond in the rough. So when I was wrestling in high school, you had to win the section tournament to go to the state tournament. And my junior and senior year, I was a runner-up. I just fucking pissed it down my leg and choked.
Wow.
You know, a lot of pressure. I just like.
The guy that beat you, was he good? Did he materialize?
Both guys that beat me ended up taking 5th that year in the state. Gotcha. But it just, I don't know, like in the off season wrestling and stuff like that, I would beat state champs from other states. I'd beat state champs in our state. It just on that day, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, I my son used to compete in high school, and I see these tournaments. It gets really intense, man. Because as the competition starts to dwindle down, that's it. Everybody's focused on that main match.
Yeah,
and that's where you either you put up or you shut up. You know, it's like it's real intense, man. I have a lot of respect for wrestlers because, like you said, there's nobody you could blame, man. It's just you and that guy out there, and it's like whoever comes out, you gotta respect that guy. It's tough. It's a very tough sport.
And I like my freshman year, I was on varsity, and I did like okay. I was like 20 and like 9 or something like that, you know.
Well, you were what were you wrestling at? What was your weight at that time?
112.
112. Okay.
And I lost in the sections, and I wasn't supposed to win it or anything like that, but I lost. It just fucking hurt more than usual. And I remember watching these guys come out for the finale. There's these lights and fucking fireworks. It was nuts. Like, these guys go, and I'm like, I want to be that. I want to win. And then my 10th grade year, I did a little bit better, but still like no dice. And I was like, that's it. Fuck this. And this guy came into my gym and was like, hey, listen, we're opening up our own wrestling club in Albany. So I was living in Saugerties. Albany was about an hour away.
Wow.
So like after football practice, I would drive an hour north, wrestle for an hour, drive an hour back home, and before wrestling practice, I'd get up in the morning, I'd run to school, work out, go to I wanted it bad.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like a psychopath.
That's insane right there. But that's dedication though. That is super dedication. Wow.
I mean, looking back at it now, I think I probably overtrained myself. I probably could have done a lot better, but I just burnt myself because there's this guy, Dan Gable, who his motto was you can always do more. More is better.
Yeah.
Burnt out. What's that? You can't burn yourself, So it was like, yeah, you can't. And now, like the level I got into, like MMA, you can definitely burn yourself out. It's like
Easily.
science.
So you're doing your thing. You're wrestling. Now you receive a scholarship offer.
I didn't. I received a scholarship to a Division III school in like Massachusetts or something like that. I'm like, D3, like, nah, I ain't me, dog. Go big or go home.
Wow.
So my great grandfather was actually the president of Bloomsburg University, so I was a shoo-in.
Oh, nice.
So I went there. It was Division I, no scholarship, but I got in, and then I kind of proved I belonged there. I earned a starting spot. I scored points for the team, and I was valuable. And then I earned a scholarship, not a full scholarship, but what they could give me. I think in college, especially if I walked on, I kind of showed what I could do. Other colleges could see what I'm capable of and could, not that they're like, hey, we want to recruit you, but if I was like, hey, think about going to school, could you get, and maybe I could. So my school gave me some money to make me happy and keep me there.
Absolutely.
It worked out.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. It was nice to have that connection. That's cool. But it's even tougher to walk on. I know that's not on the D1 level. That's not easy.
Bro, I used to get my ass whooped.
How long it took before they realized that you were going to stick around?
Well, they knew I was going to stick around, but it took them. So my very first year, I was a Prop 48, I think it is.
Okay.
Which means you're ineligible through the clearinghouse, which is like, so in high school, sports was like all I did, all I thought about, you know what I mean? So I kept like an 80 average, and I didn't do amazing on my SATs. So with that like little algorithm or whatever they put together, you either you either pass clearinghouse or you don't. And I didn't. So I was ineligible for my first year. So I'm just kind of like a workout partner, if you will, if that. So it's still then like this guy, I don't know, is he even going to get his grades up? Is he, I got my grades up, and then I was a redshirt freshman, and I made a little bit of noise. And the whole time I was training and working my butt off to get better. And yeah.
But no doubt, though, you felt like you belonged at that level.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. So what? So how did your collegiate career end?
I think like my senior, I think I was ranked like 22nd in the nation at 149.
Nice.
But I was forced to drop out of school a little early.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Being Boricua, pretty handsome, right? I'm smooth with the ladies. I was told I was having a kid at the age of 20, right? So I go meet up with this girl that I hooked up with one time, and she's fucking 7 months pregnant.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm like,
she really waited, huh?
Well, she probably. I mean, long story short, I raised the kid for 2 years. It turned out not to be mine. Oh, in that 7 months, she was probably like, "Who's the dad?
Oh, man.
He's the best option."
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Not only that, but you develop a bond with the kid.
Well, there's that. I dropped out of college my senior year.
Yeah. Wow.
I paid back my scholarship.
Oh man, that's tough, man.
Those are years you can't get back, man.
No, yeah, absolutely right. So that happens to you. What happens next is Dana White holding tryouts or something like that. Like, how do you end up on the MMA scene?
Well, off of what I just told you, the kid not being mine, in that 2-year period, MMA was on this fucking like skyrocket, and I would see friends and family like, dude, you should do this MMA stuff. You can wrestle really good. You got the build for it. Like, you're strong. You're athletic. I'm like, yeah, no, I just I don't have the time for it because I really didn't. I was working 2 jobs. I was trying to be a dad. It was just I didn't have the time to even to do it. So when I found out the kid wasn't mine, it was kind of like, Dennis, you talked all this shit about you would be a killer if you did this MMA stuff, but you don't have the time. But now you have the time. So talk is cheap. And this is only to myself. I wasn't I said, So I'm like, I got to do it. I got to give it a shot, And I trained with a few friends that were actually really doing it, and they were like, dude, you're like born for this. You're so good. And I was like, yeah. All right. So I originally was just going to do it to get a chip off my shoulder because I never reached the wrestling goals I wanted. I wanted to be a state champion. Didn't do that. I wanted to be an All-American or national champion in college. Didn't do that. So MMA was like another area involving wrestling a little bit where I could achieve goals that I had set for myself. So I did it at first just to get a little chip off my shoulder, And then a few of my friends that I was training with went pro, and I'm like, you're going pro? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but I beat you.
It's not adding up, right?
And I'm an amateur, so should I go pro? Or so after 4 months, I went pro. Because I'm like, you can make money doing this? They're like, yeah. Okay. So at the time, I was making like $125 a week at UPS and doing like landscaping on the side for $8 an hour, Wow. So my paychecks weren't really big, And then I did my first pro fight. Well, I heard what these guys were getting paid to fight, and I was like, you got $500? Wow. I'll do that like right now. I'll do this every weekend, And then my first fight, I got $400 to fight, $400 to win.
Wow.
I was like, and I won, and I was like, who wants drinks? Because
I'm balling.
$400 cash. I'm fucking rich. $800. Like, I just told you how much I was making, and most of that was going to fucking just gas. Like I wasn't buying groceries. I couldn't even afford groceries. I had to get like lunch meat and like some bread.
What do you tell the guys at UPS? Hey, I won't be in on Monday.
No, once I made the $800, I still had to keep fighting. This is on the lower leagues. And then I had got offered there was the Ultimate Fighter tryouts.
Yes.
And I went and I did that. There was so you had to go like hit mitts and do a round with a random person that was also trying out jiu-jitsu, and then if they called your name, you came back for an interview. So it's a fucking like 12-hour day.
Wow.
So I did that, and I'm waiting. They're like, we'll give you a call within 2 weeks. I didn't hear anything. So I'm like, damn. I heard the new casting, so whatever. And then my high school wrestling coach had kind of like an MMA seminar. And he's like, hey, Dana White's going to be here. Like, you better get your fucking ass down here. I'm like, okay. So I drive all the way up to Albany, show up, like train with Frank Yeager a little bit, whatever. And Dana White was there. And he's like, my coach goes, Dennis, do you not have like a resume or something? I'm like, no, you just told me to come here. It's like, dude, you got to give the man something. So I grab a piece of paper and pen and write down like my name, kind of like my stats. Wow. And I hand it to Dana like before he left to get on his airplane or whatever. And then when they did the Ultimate Fighter for the 145, a friend of mine had called up because I had only been fighting at 155 this whole time.
Okay.
Right? My buddy's like, dude, they're doing a trial for 145. You should do it. I'm like, 145? I don't know if I can make 145, you know? So I'm like, fuck it. This is going to get me in the UFC. Sure. So I called the Ultimate Fighter and said, hey, you guys said if you guys had another tryout for 155, I didn't have to do like the hit the mitts and the grappling. I could just come for the interview. Does that apply for the 145 pounds Ultimate Fighter? They're like, yep. I'm like, all right, see you then. So I flew out, did the interview and stuff like that. And I don't know if Dana White had any, like, if he saw that, he's like, hey, make sure you pull this guy or not. But, like, maybe, you know.
Wow.
And I told the UFC the story about how the kid wasn't mine and why.
Mm.
And I think that got me into the UFC or into the Ultimate Fighter. I did the Ultimate Fighter. I lost in the finals to Diego Brandao. And then, which is like your first official fight in the UFC, I guess.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, man, I still haven't won the UFC. Like, I got to win the UFC. So I trained my fucking ass off for like probably like 6 months before my first fight. So the finale was December 3rd. My next fight was May 5th. So December, January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, like 5 months. I like grinded. My weight was on point. Everything was, and I beat Pablo Garza. And then I went on a 7-fight winning streak.
Yeah, I know. Out the gate, you were like on fire, man. I was like, everybody was just so hyped. Like, yo, this guy's Puerto Rican too. He's bad. And for me, I love your style because it's like you don't back up for shit. It's always going forward. And it's like, no matter what you're taking, it's like you eat it, but you're dishing it. Very exciting. It's I mean, I love watching your fights. Your fights were great. But quick question, going back to the UFC house. So how many of those guys are guaranteed pro contracts? Is it just the guys that go to the finals?
Only the winners guaranteed.
Oh, wow.
Then they pick who they like out of everybody else.
Wow.
But because 145 was a fairly new weight class to the UFC, they pretty much took the whole roster.
That's not lightweight, right? That's I mean, is that featherweight or lightweight?
Featherweight.
Featherweight, gotcha.
Yeah, lightweight's 155.
So now you're on the scene. You're a professional UFC fighter. What's that experience like? You know, like what's like, does it change your lifestyle? The way do you pick up and move to California? Like, what's going on in your life now?
Well, I the Puerto Rican parade was like coming up at some point. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get on that shit, you know. So I forget who I contacted, but they're like, we got you. You're gonna be on a float. So in my head, I'm gonna be on my own single float. Like they like stuck me on some float that I have no idea. It wasn't like the Menace float. It was like some other float, and like I was just on it. You know? And me and my brother, I brought my older brother with me, and I was like, dude, let's we should like tie one on before we get on this, parade. So we go and drink like 4 beers or something like that. We get on, whatever. We're like halfway through the parade. I'm like, bro, I have to pee so fucking bad. Like, I might piss myself. Like, how do I forget how I went. I think I got off, like ran into like a restaurant and then like got back on the float.
Wow. And was this the parade in the city or in Manhattan?
Parade, yeah.
Wow, that's a big one. Yeah, there's no bathrooms. It's like whatever tree you can find, dude. That's how it's gonna go down.
I passed like Miguel Cotto, like heading to the parade, and I was like, "You ain't that big, dog. Like, you can get
it." Stay in there for a second. Boxing, because I know your background is wrestling. You train to do jiu-jitsu, but like, do you guys dedicate some time to boxing? Because your stand-up game is really good, man.
Yeah. So pretty much my like mentality, which if I could have redone it, I would have switched. Was let's beat this guy up standing up because it's more energy efficient, it's cooler, it's more oohs and ahs, and it's a little more exciting. Mm-hmm. If I get hit hard, then I will take him down to the ground because then on his back he can't hit me hard. And then I'll use my jiu-jitsu so he can't tap me out and I can know what it's like. But otherwise, I'll use jiu-jitsu and wrestling to hold him down and just punch him.
Oh, okay.
The way I should have done it, looking back, hindsight, is I can take down pretty much anybody.
You got the record still, right?
I know that Darren, the damage, I forget what his last name is. I'm drawing a blank. He just passed it not too long ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
no, it's still something, man. You had the record, man.
For a while, yeah. But with that being said, I should have just been focusing, like, do enough, like, striking so I could defend myself and counter and have people feared about my striking to set up my takedowns. Get the takedown and really just went crazy hard on jiu-jitsu. So after I take him down, I can get him the fuck out of there and tap him out, you know? Versus hold him down, grind him, and punch him for fucking 15 minutes, and then, like, I grinded him out and won.
But when you go into a match and you're in the octagon, do you have a game plan, or it's all?
Yeah, everybody's different, you know. For guys that are heavy hitters, you kind of want to kind of neutralize that by taking them down. Guys that are more jiu-jitsu players that are really good at submissions, you want to focus on like defending the submissions that they're really good at, or keep it standing. Wrestler and wrestler, they just kind of like neutralize each other. But yeah.
What was your proudest moment in the UFC?
Probably beating Clay Guida, just because he was a big name in the UFC. He had never been finished. I finished him, and it was just like, we're here to make some noise. Like,
nice.
Let's go. You know.
Was that one of the fight of the nights that you won?
Yeah.
Nice, very nice. And what was probably your lowest point you think in the UFC?
Probably losing to. I always forget his name. The guy has two first names.
That's not Lagas?
It was my last loss. And also losing to Ricardo Lamas.
Yeah, Lamas, sorry.
Because actually, man, there's.
I thought that one was big because I thought your career would have exploded at that point. If you would have beat him, because you were right there, you're on the cusp of explode. Don't get me wrong, you were a big name, but I thought that fight would have catapulted you to the next level.
I agree.
Even Zombie, the Korean Zombie, I think if you would have beat that guy, and you were kicking his ass. I don't know where the hell he just snuck in the shot, but those were two big fights. Yeah.
Those are two, because exactly that, with that being said, and I don't know if that's just the way I work. I don't know. Like, for example, losing the section finals, like, listen, you could win this, and if you win, you go to the state title. That's where you want to go. Beating Lamas, beating Korean Zombie, I think we're you're there. Now, one more win, or now you're in title contention, maybe. You know? And because before the Ricardo Lamas fight, not only the Dana, but Lorenzo Fertitas both came to my locker room and, like, personally, like, hey, like, good luck tonight. I was like, I don't see you guys don't go to locker rooms.
Wow.
You know? Wow. And, like, I was like, gotta win. I don't know. I just
Probably put too much pressure on yourself.
yeah, I don't.
No, but I'll tell you.
The that fight was in Mexico at Mexico City, and it was that's like 2 miles high.
Okay.
So I remember warming up, and my warm up's usually like a half hour, and I was fucking so out of breath. But that's the truth for everybody, though.
Yeah.
Everyone was tired. So in my head, I was like, let's go out there. I was just overly aggressive, because before you walk out and before you're in the tunnel to walk out to the octagon, you can see your opponent, like you're probably like 30 yards away. They kind of hold you over here while he's getting ready to walk out. And we kind of like locked eyes, and he like quick looked away, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck you up. And I just remember like he does not want it. He doesn't want it. I'm gonna fucking bring it. And I just brought it too hard, and I made mistakes.
But it's crazy though. I get that vibe from you. I get that vibe that a lot of cats that go against you, they're like thinking, man, I don't want to be in the ring with this guy.
Yeah.
You got the fangs on the mouthpiece, and it's like, oh shit. And you don't stop coming forward. So it got to be really tough going against you. So with that being said, Dana White, let's stay there for a second. How was Dana White? Did he do right by you?
Yeah. I've got no complaints of working with Dana White. And this is a common question, like, how is he? Is he a dick? It's like, no. He's got a bunch of like testosterone driven like alpha males that work for him that fight for money. So we're all a little, crazy, obviously, and he's a boss. So let's say you fuck up, you work at fucking Costco, and you gotta be seen in the manager's office. They're not like, hey, listen, I know you stole some things, and I know you didn't. Like, no, they're like, what the fuck you doing? What the fuck is wrong with you? Dana White's the same way, but he's on camera.
Yeah.
He doesn't,
Yeah, I only bring him up because I want to say like over the last year, he's been getting a lot of heat about, compensation of fighters, because the sport, he's did a great job to bring it to that next level.
Yeah.
It is the premier fighting event, and they're saying a lot of guys still don't get compensated well, but it's like down the middle. You got some guys that are like, hey, I'm happy, he's doing right by me, and then you got some guys that feel that they should be compensated more. Do you think there's an opportunity to improve upon that? What are your thoughts on that?
1,000,000%. Like, for example, I was ranked number 6 in the world, right?
Yes.
Now I have a full-time job that sometimes I work, 60 to 100 hours a week sometimes, Name a number 6 point guard in the NBA that has to work a full-time job.
I feel you.
Name a, you know what I mean?
That's tough, man.
So that's kind of, where I'm like,
yeah.
But I mean, the thing is the longevity of fighters is, there's definitely something that could be done, because I'm not saying if you go and have 3 fights in the UFC, you should be set for your life, you know what I mean? But I fought in the UFC for 8 years.
Yeah.
And it's tough, man. Like, I'm out here in the real world. I'm a lineman now, well, apprentice currently. And guys that in the same apprenticeship as me are better than me just because they were electrician prior to coming, or they did construction, or they worked with tools.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've been punching people for fucking 10 years. And now I'm like turning wrenches. I'm like, well, obviously it's coming along, but like I dedicated my life to the fight game. And on the other end of the spectrum in fighting, like versus being a competitor, is training people and training fighters and running a gym. But I get that. That's probably just as much of a gamble as being a fighter, I guess. I don't know.
No, it's tough, and the reason I bring up the whole compensation things because I didn't know whether or not the UFC found ways to keep guys employed after their fighting days, because I do see that you do commentary from time to time, so I
Yeah.
thought there was ways that like they still find ways to compensate you
So I
because
did. I did reach out to Dana and I said, "Hey, I'm pretty, well spoken, and I'm a pretty good talker. I would love to do some commentary." And he was like, "Yeah, like come out to Vegas and we'll give you like an interview." I'm like, "Yeah." But that
nice.
was the same time I was getting into the job I'm in now. But the job I have right now is just a way more secure, and I've got benefits, a pension, a 401k. There's just and I wouldn't be able to commit. So, like for example, being a lineman, it's kind of like when the weather rolls in, you roll in. So it couldn't be like, Dana, I'll do UFC 264, and then a storm rolls in, and for me to be like, hey, but I gotta go fly to Cali. They're like, we don't give a shit. There was going to be conflict of interest, so I just never followed through with the commentating thing.
I hear you. Hey, lineman's not a bad gig. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I'm in the utility sector as well. I work in Brooklyn, New York. But it's a good career, and you're young enough where you could still retire with a nice pension and all that
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's the
I,
goal here.
I figure at the end of the day, you got to make the safe bet. Especially with your family and stuff. You got to
Well,
secure.
exactly. So when I retired, it was just I got kids, and I want to be able to enjoy my grandkids and stuff like that, and I don't want to be like drooling like I used to fight. Because I think CTE is a real thing. And I don't want to be a guinea pig for it, I guess.
No,
If I
absolutely.
didn't have kids, you better believe I would still be fucking knocking skulls around.
No, but staying there for a second, how's your body? Is it where you taxed a lot during your career?
Yeah, I mean, I got some lumps and stuff like that. Like my elbow and stuff like that hurts, and trying to like work out now and lift and stuff like that now. There's definitely some aches and stuff like that, and
Yeah, it's not an easy sport. Your retirement, the announcement of your retirement, is probably one of the most heartfelt speeches I've ever seen from a prize fighter. And I know you were going through something personally because you had just lost a family member, but it was it was very endearing to a lot of people that were watching the sport. They like really felt for you, and
All right, here with Dennis Bermudez. Congratulations on a huge win here tonight. I noticed you're taking the gloves off, my man. You had hinted maybe that retirement might be happening. Can you take that mouthpiece out for me? Is this your final fight?
Yeah, man, it is. It is, yeah. I mean, it's pretty awesome. That I get to here in New York.
take us through that decision to decide, hey, I'm going to hang it up. I know down the stretch it was tough for you because you had taken 4 losses before that win. What kept you going? And it wasn't like those losses could have went either way. They were decisions, and that's part of the problem too. When you have the judges, your faith is in their hands. But what was your mindset during that period? Like, do you want to tap out? You were like, what were you thinking?
So I wanted to go out on my own terms with fighting. I didn't want to. I didn't want the UFC to cut me. I wanted to be like, I don't want to fight anymore. But the UFC was and the staff really liked me. I'm charismatic, easygoing. I work with everybody well. I was a yes man in the company. Dennis, you want to fight? Yep, I'll do it. Then I tried to step up a few times to fight Max Holloway on like very short notice. Dana White loved that. So with those 4 losses, 3 of them being split decisions that I thought I won every single fucking one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, man. And especially the last 2. So I outstruck Feely by 60 punches. He had 4 takedowns to like my 2 or something like that, where I just hit my butt and got back up. And he won. So I'm like, all right, next fight, I got to take this guy down way more than he takes me down, The next fight, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, but he took me down 0 times. I took him down 6 times, and he outstruck me by like 6 punches or something stupid, something very minimal, and he still won. So I'm like, how the fuck?
Yeah, the takedowns are more points, aren't they?
I took him down 6 times.
I know. You would have outscored him right there alone.
I guess so. The fact that each commission is different, I'm like, dude, this is fuck this shit. So between those 3 losses, that was like $150,000 I lost.
Fuck.
And I just got to a point where I was like, man, I want to do something that I know. Listen, if you work this hard, you make this much money. If you work this hard, you make this much. Because when you sign the contract to fight, it's X amount. It's like, let's say it's $20,000 a fight. $20,000 a win. So when you sign that, you're like, I'm gonna make $40,000.
Absolutely.
Not saying, because I know how the fight game goes. I'm not like that $40,000 spent.
Mm-hmm.
I was never that. I would reward myself after the fact. But I was just like, this is horseshit, man. So after that very last loss, I retired to myself. I told my corner, I'm done with this shit. And I took like 2 months off, and then the girl I was dating at the time, me and her separated, and somebody needed to get their ass whooped.
Yeah.
My manager said, "Hey, get me another bout."
Nice.
And then I knew that would be because I was in my head, I was already retired, and I was like, "I'm gonna go in there, whoop this ass, then I'll hang up the gloves officially."
It was a nice way to go out, man, and in the Barclays, very nice. Hey, what are your thoughts on Conor McGregor? Do you think he was good for the sport?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the antics and stuff like that? What are your thoughts on that?
I think the misconduct outside of the cage and stuff like that, and with like the general public, like that's a bad look for the sport. But at the end of the day, he's a real person. Like if someone went up to you and fucking told you to go fuck yourself and your mom's a cunt, you're probably like, what? Like, I'll beat the shit out of you. So people get drunk, people say these kinds of things or do these kinds of things to these elite athletes thinking that there won't be any repercussions, and he's a real one where he'll smack you in your mouth. He doesn't give you 60 or 16. But yeah, the shit talking and stuff like that, and I think it's good for the sport. It brought a lot of eyes to the sport. Also, he made a lot more money where it just kind of moves the bar. Like, wait, so how much did he get? So, but I'm getting this much. So you're saying he's that much better than, like, there's kind of now you can kind of bargain a little bit,
That Mayweather,
not me, but
that Mayweather fight, really did big things for the game. I mean, that purse was insane what they both got. I was like, wow. I didn't think he was going to come back. Were you surprised that he came back after getting all that money?
Yeah, because like I said, he's a competitor. Because you go home and you watch people fight, and I'll beat him. I'll beat him. You know, it becomes a pride thing rather than a money thing. You know,
when you watch these guys fight, does it hurt you because you think you could still be there?
I like with the way my body works and the way my body feels, I'm cool with chilling because I know what would have to happen for me to beat those guys. I do like saying that if I listen, I like telling people in my prime, I would have fucked that dude up.
As you should, man. As you should. What's the best part of retirement? What are you enjoying the most?
What I like the most, but hate the most, is that I can like drink as many beers as I want or like eat whatever I want.
Nice.
But I've gained some weight. So I'm like, man, now I'm trying to play catch up the other way.
Can you still drop weight pretty fast?
I think so.
Hey,
yeah. Well, I'm doing so I tried doing like, listen, Dennis, you're a killer. You gotta be in shape. So I was waking up at like 4:30 in the morning. I was lifting. I did it for like 2 months, right? And then Thanksgiving hit, and I was like, I'll take this week off, and then never returned. So training, like working out or training, if you will, to look good isn't enough motivation for me because I still think I look pretty handsome. But competing is. So I got myself back in the gym a couple months ago, and I'm looking to try and become like a world-class jiu-jitsu player.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Way to keep yourself motivated. Hey, for the average Joe, what advice can you give us in terms of dropping weight? Trying to get that summer bod.
Okay.
What's some tricks up your sleeve that you go to?
So there's some stupid little things you can do, right? So like but easier said than done, you know? So if everybody ran 1 mile a day, like even the slowest person in the world can do a mile in under 15 minutes. Right? So that's 15 minutes of your day. And then before you hop in the shower, if you do anywhere from 20 to 50 push-ups, and then like anywhere from like 50 to, I don't know, 100 sit-ups or crunches or whatever, like that would legit take you 2 minutes. Before you take a shower. You take a shower every day. And these little things add up. So that's 7 miles. That's, let's say you did 50 push-ups a day. 50 times 7. What's that, 350?
7
push-ups.
7 times 350, correct. Yep.
You know? And if you did 100 sit-ups a day, that's 700 sit-ups. Like that shit fucking, and that's in 1 week.
Dude, that's UFC ready right there. No?
That shit adds up, you know? Drink a shit ton of water.
Oh, man. Yeah.
If you feel like you're hungry, you're probably thirsty.
Yeah, you're absolutely
right. You're like, obviously you have to eat 3 times a day or whatever, or 4 times a day. But you know how you're like bored? And you're like, man, I should just drink a bottle of water.
Yeah. No, that's great.
And then reevaluate how hungry you are. Like, but you have to give yourself a little bit of time. You know? Drink a bottle of water, give yourself 10 minutes, see how you feel.
No, that's great.
After you eat, like we all know like how much we should be eating.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But so let's say you get a hero, right? Fucker's 12 inches long.
Stacked up.
You eat half of it, you're like, I'm still hungry, right? After you eat half of it, drink a bottle of water. Give yourself 5-10 minutes and see how hungry you are to finish that second half.
That's no, listen, that's great advice. Especially the first part about the exercising, because what you did right there is like you're turning it into a habit. If I'm gonna go take a shower, I should just drop to the floor, do these push-ups and sit-ups, and
Quick.
it becomes part of a routine every day before you go in. Yeah, no, that's great advice. We always me and Chris, unfortunately he wasn't with us today. We're two big guys, so we're always looking for those inside tips or secrets, and who better than a prize fighter, who always has to stay in tip-top shape. But how's that the diet when you're at that level? Is it extremely expensive because what you're eating and stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely not as expensive as it is now, I would say. Well, unless I'm going out all the time eating, then it's probably equal. But yeah, I mean, it's mostly a lot of vegetables, and like the meat is like measured out.
Gotcha.
Well, like when I get like very close, so like usually like a piece of like chicken breast is usually like 8 to 10 ounces. But like me and you now, like I'll eat like 2 of them or
Gotcha.
3,
Hey, you deserve it, man. You've been going hard for so long. This is your time. It's okay to get a little, what they call it, a dad bod, a little bit.
Got a dad bod. Yeah, but my kids used to be like, Dad, your muscles are so big. They stopped saying that. So I gotta get them back to like thinking I'm a superhero,
Not
and my
trust me.
kids still it hasn't like clicked for them that like their dad was a complete assassin.
Oh God.
Like they think like their mom's boyfriend is like a little bit like in like the same arena as me.
No, wow.
They're like, really fast. I'm like, no chances, Joe. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not faster than me. He's not stronger than like. So.
Wow. Guinness Book of World Records. Most people won't know that you're in it, and you're in it for the craziest thing. Nice. Look at that. I saw that video. I was impressed that you did it once. Once you did it, and when you did it twice, I said, this guy's next level.
For the title. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh my God. No way. You got this beat. Oh my God. Keep going, keep going.
Ah!
Oh!
No way, that's awesome. No.
What just why finish all of it, dude?
Oh, this is disgusting.
Yeah!
Super competitive. How was that? That was like part of it, and I also said he's definitely Puerto Rican because the lemon juice went down easy for him, man.
Well, walk in the room. I was with my sponsor, G Fuel. They had all of their athletes there, but they had the Guinness Book of Record there for a specific guy. His name is Furious Pete, and he already has like 10 Guinness Book of World Records. So when he says he's going to be somewhere and he's going to do something, Guinness Book comes there. Like, he'll probably get it. Well, So they had the plaque in the room, and I saw it. It was up there at the table. So when they asked me if I want to do it, I'm like, yeah, I'll take a few sips. I'll spit on the guy next to me. It'll be funny. And then they did a countdown.
That's all it took, right?
I was like, game on. I was like, I'm just gonna just suck the hell and just give it hell, And I did it, and I was like, I did it, And they're like, oh, there's still a little juice in the belt. I'm like, what? Like, it doesn't count. So now I know I can do it, and I see the thing at the end of the table. I'm like, I need to take that's coming home with me, And I'm like, how long did I have? An hour? Like, no. What? So I had probably like a half hour in between the first one and the second one. I just gave it hell.
Wow. That just shows the competitive level.
Yeah.
We're running a little out of time here, but before I let you go, I want you to share with our young, because we have a couple of fighters that watch the show and listen to the show. What advice can you give them starting out? What are some things that they could do to help further their pursuit of becoming a professional fighter like yourself?
To be very vague is get uncomfortable being uncomfortable. Because when you're in there with somebody else, right? Obviously, skill and technique can break a man, right? But usually, skill and technique starts to break when you break a man, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, let's say in the first 2 minutes, they block everything, right? But you keep pushing. Even though you're tired, you keep pushing. Then they get a little tired too, and that's when you can start to break those holes and make calculated strikes and make it really count.
No, it makes a lot of sense. It's just like basically outwilling your opponent,
right?
And at that point, they start doubting themselves, and you kind of get off on that, and you start to take their energy almost. Right. Where did the fang thing come from? The fangs, the mouthpiece. That's really cool, man.
I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. So in college, I saw Andre Arlovsky had them.
Okay.
So I got them in college. I wrestled throughout my whole college career with them, and then I just brought them over into the fight world. And then, like, when I got higher up in the UFC, people wanted to make me like custom ones, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they were pretty badass. It was like, oh shit, don't fuck with this guy. Well, Dennis, what you got going on, man? This is your time. Promote anything you have going on. Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you? Just engage with you. Let us know.
So I'm on. I'm really not too active on my Facebook fan page, which is the Menace Dennis Bermudez, but I do put like content that you can only get there, right? So I want them to go there a little bit. I'm pretty active on Instagram at Menace Bermudez. I am active on Twitter when there are fights on. So sometimes if I'm really engaged in the fights, I'll put what I think's going on or who won what round and maybe some other dumb stuff like maybe Joe Rogan's jacket. I don't know. And then I'm on YouTube. It's called MenaceTube.
Okay.
Oh, you see what I did there? Where on there you can find like vlogs of me like jumping off cliffs or going to race car events. But recently it's been my podcast called The Menace and the Man Show.
The Menace and the Man Show. I will make sure to put that on so folks will see it. Menace and the Man Show.
Yeah, so the Menace and the Man Show is, do you remember the Man Show on Comedy Central?
Yes.
They drink beer, right? They talk about girls and shit like that or man shit. So we are the Man Show of MMA.
Oh, nice.
So we talk about like, well, my co-host talks about girls and stuff like that. I'll chime in here and there. But we talk about fighting. We talk to fighters that we have on the show about like life and what's going on, and we talk to other people that don't fight on the show about fighting. So,
gotcha. Hey, damn, I was just gonna ask you something too. The beers that you guys drink on Menace and the Man Show are those your sponsors?
We were working with what are they called? Great South Bay Brewery for a while. They're still like kind of one of our sponsors. It's like a fan turned friend that runs the brewery over there, and he's pretty receptive to any ideas I want to do or anything like that. But my co-host was doing the managing with him. He moved down to Florida because of COVID. So, I mean, they're still like one of our sponsors, but we don't get beers from them right now at the moment.
Well, hey, Dennis, if they're interested in product placement, I could always use some beers on our show. You just let me know.
All right, you got it.
Hey, brother, it's been a true delight. I wish you the best. Be
Thank
careful on those poles, man, because that's also a dangerous job,
it.
man. super dangerous. And thank you. And I will make sure that all our listeners will click and follow and subscribe to your show. And we wish you nothing but the best, Dennis. Thank you, brother.
Shake and bake, man. Thanks for having you.
Thanks, Chad.